Okay, hi everyone, welcome back. And in this update, we are going to check out VeChain's price chart and I'm going to try to explain why, despite the recent move on the downside in VeChain, we are not really, at least at the moment, completely done. And hopefully, we are going to have a bit of a bounce from these areas because if not, okay, we might be in a bit of a trouble for like very short term. Overall, in the mid to long term, let me be very clear in my view, VeChain is actually a decent buying opportunity. But before I tell you why, you need to understand that you should absolutely 100% do your due diligence, come up with your own conclusion in terms of the fundamentals of this project. And then if you think, yeah, you know what, this is a great project, it does have a bright future, okay, maybe at that point, feel free to watch some YouTube videos, maybe not even necessarily. But now, if you have done your research, then okay, here is what's going on in the mid to long term. I think in VeChain, back in this bull run in 2021, we had an ABC unlike a lot of other altcoins, and this is going to be into a wave W followed by a correction for our wave X, and I do think that we are going to have yet another move up into our wave Y. And let's just say this, bare minimum, by the end of this cycle, I think we are allowed to have this initial move on the upside into our A leg, which in it I do think VeChain can easily take the previous major pivot high on weekly time frame, which is this one about, let's say, 9 cents area. So if you want to buy VeChain right around the lows, that means you can expect something like an 800% gain, which again, I don't know about you guys, from my POV, that's definitely not that bad. Reason number two for why I think this is actually a bit of a buy opportunity, and if we end up going down once more, it is going to still be a buy opportunity for the mid to long term. Let's just hide everything. Pay attention. This right in here, the price that we are currently around, is actually a cycle low in VeChain. Now, I bet when we were having these insane moves on the upside in VeChain, and for that matter in a lot of other altcoins, you wish that you bought VeChain and your favorite altcoin right around the lows. Yep, well, this is literally a second chance for you. So again, if you think this project is absolutely solid in terms of fundamentals, okay, we are literally at cycle lows, and I want to be very clear, you shouldn't really buy any token all at once, okay? Your name of the game should be only and only dollar cost averaging, because I don't really think you should be FOMOing into any token. I think the market is going to provide you with plenty of buying opportunities, so just calm down, and if you believe VeChain is a good project, just buy one step at a time, okay? It's very important to understand that. Now, having said all that, let's go on our own chart from Coinbase and see what is happening in the short term, because if you remember, the last time that we talked about VeChain, I believe we were right in here, and the idea was that, well, okay, when you measure this move up from here to about these areas, since I think in the previous video we were in here, and you compared this move timing wise to this move on the downside, you realize that in here bulls do not really have a whole lot of power. That's why we said, yeah, your base case probably should be a continuation of the move down, and we did get our move down. I'm here to tell you maybe this move is going to continue, possibly I'm gonna say maybe like for another 5 to 7%. Why is that? Because let's go around here. Okay, what just happened? Okay, you see, whenever we are having strong moves on the downside, maybe in just a couple of hours, followed by that, you are going to have a bit of a bounce. But in most cases, that's just going to be a bit of a dead cat bounce, and you can expect after it yet another move down. And then odds are that will be it, at least some sort of a short-term low. And followed by that, we can expect a good move on the upside. And in VeChain, I think we are having something quite similar. You see, I think we can all agree this was a rather strong move down, followed by a short-term bounce, and I do think this is actually a dead cat bounce. I'm going to tell you in a bit why. So let's expect maybe another move down in order to take the lows in here about 1.19 cents, but I think we can go a little bit lower, maybe even in order to get to about the lower band of this region, about 1.15, 1.16, generally like a 5 to 7% move on the downside. Now, let's go on 15-minute time frame. Okay, so here's the deal. If you want to argue that we're gonna have the lows in here, then okay, off of the lows slow, you have to be able to find a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. However, if I just go on VeChain's chart, What do you find off of this point, the lowest low? I think we can all agree this is actually just a three-wave movement in form of an ABC, meaning what? Yes, we are having a correction in here, and it can be, I guess, in form of, let's just take this one, maybe an A, B, C, D, E, a triangular structure, which means then again, we have to expect once more yet another move on the downside, and then we can have maybe a decent bounce in form of a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So as you can see, if we are going to have soon a bit of a bounce in VeChain after having a short-term move on the downside, you should actually pay full attention to the shape of that bounce. Okay, the bounce itself is not really that important. Honestly, it is sort of kind of predictable. If in terms of the shape of it, we see a rather a strong move up, okay, I guess fair enough, that can be an optimistic side. Now, why did I tell you earlier that there's still some hope for VeChain? Because this is, in my view, a very important support area from weekly and daily time frame at the same time. And right now, I don't really think that we should say this level is broken. No. When can we say this level is broken though? When we get a move down in order to go under the lower band of this region about 1.17 cents in weekly time frame, and we get in here a candle close followed by that a pullback, and then we have a continuation of the move down in order to take this important low. If we do this at that point, we are going to be in a bit of a trouble, because under here I don't really think that we are having a whole lot of supports. I believe, if my memory serves me right, the next important region was somewhere like maybe 40-50% even lower, which is really not ideal. However, as long as we are staying above here, I think we are actually good to go up, and I'm really hoping that soon our move up is going to start. Now, do we have like some very important signs that can tell you what might be the next move in VeChain? I think so. Yes, you see, we actually talked about this subject in the previous update. What do you have on the live chart in this area? So this is actually daily time frame, and we are having in here a series of lower lows. On the other hand though, in terms of indicators in MACD, excuse me, there we go, what do you have? You are actually having a series of higher lows. So this is a bullish divergence which is happening around this important support area, and right now, since we are above it, let's be optimistic and let's count for hopefully soon a good bounce back in order to start a decent uptrend. Now, this, so far based on what we said, is definitely an optimistic sign. But if you want to be bearish in VeChain and you want to count on maybe another deep move on the downside in order to break this support, okay, at that point, you need to see a move down in order to get a break of this beautiful, important divergence line right in here. Because at that point, two things are going to happen. Number one, the bullish divergence itself is going to get invalidated, so you shouldn't really expect a good bounce because of this sign. And number two, as a result of getting a break of the divergence line, you should actually expect a rather sharp decline in VeChain, which again probably supports getting a break of this important area as well, and that is definitely not ideal. So for now, in my view, in VeChain, we may have like one more move on the downside, and then I'm really hoping that we are going to hit the lows, and if not, all eyes on this important divergence line and see what are we going to do with it. Get a break of it, our move down is going to continue at quite a bit of a rapid pace. Get a bounce back in here, that's going to be an awesome sign indicating hopefully right in here we are going to hit our final low. And I hope I explained everything well and you understood what is going on in VeChain's chart. And until the next update, I hope you have a wonderful time. Goodbye.